Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video. This is top 10 wrestlers who were fired from WWE. This is going to be an awesome video. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. If you guys could also smash the likes, that would be absolutely brilliant. We're going to start with number 10, work our way down to number 1. Let's get right into this by starting with number 10. Number 10 is Paul London. Now, before being released in 2008, London had been in the doghouse for quite some time, and this was ever since he smiled during the live shot right before Vince McMahon's explosion angle in June 2007. London also had a reputation for having no instincts as a performer and how his character should be doing promos. Now, after losing the WWE Cruiserweight Championship on August 4th, 2005 edition of Velocity to Nunzio, London was told to deliver a heartfelt promo regarding his title loss to Nunzio. Instead, he did a goofy comedy promo encouraging fans to protest his title loss, which officials obviously frowned upon, but London himself felt his idea was better than the creative team's suggestion. London also had a reputation of being a headache to work with amongst WWE creative staff, and his relationship with WWE diva Ashley Massaro didn't help his situation backstage. London had bags of potential, but his obvious talent didn't go as far as they could have, and he was fired in 2008. Number 9 is Alberto Del Rio. Now, Alberto Del Rio was released in August 7th, 2014 before being rehired in October 2015. Now, WWE fired Alberto Del Rio after he slapped Cody Barberi, the WWE's manager of social media. The incident took place backstage at a taping, and Del Rio slapped him when he made a racial joke about it being Del Rio's job to clean off Barberi's plate in catering. The former world champion asked him to apologise, and when he did not, Del Rio slapped him hard, apparently knocking him to the ground. WWE were originally going to suspend Del Rio, however Barberi said he would sue the WWE and they were forced to fire Alberto Del Rio. Number 8 is Billy Gunn. Now, Billy Gunn was recently released in November 2015. The once proud member of the New Age Outlaws and D-Generation X, as well as being an 11-time tag team champion in the WWE, was working as a trainer in their developmental performance center. Now, Billy Gunn was fired by the WWE after failing a test for a performance-enhancing drug at a powerlifting competition back in July of 2015. Now, WWE has a strict policy about the use of these drugs, but only ever tested their wrestlers for them, not the trainers. News got out that Billy Gunn had failed his test at the competition, and to set a good example to the wrestlers, they had no choice but to fire Billy Gunn. Number 7 is Scott Hall. Scott Hall's release was a reaction to the infamous plane ride from hell on May 5th, 2002. Now, WWE was returning on a plane from the Insurrection pay-per-view in London, and all hell would ensue on the ride home, mainly down to the drunkenness of the superstars. The most intoxicated turned out to be Scott Hall, and events on the plane included X-Pac cutting Michael Hayes' hair off, Ric Flair exposing himself to a female flight attendant, Goldust taking over the flight PA system, Mr. Perfect challenging Brock Lesnar to a real fight on the plane, and lastly, Scott Hall managing to get his hands on a canister of shaving cream. This cream would eventually end up on the bodies of various superstars. Shortly after this, Scott Hall passed out from his intoxication, and some superstars reportedly had to check his pulse through the flight to make sure he was okay. After this, Scott Hall and Mr. Perfect were correctly fired from this infamous drunken plane ride home, and Hall's release from the company was announced several days after the UK tour. Number 6 is Daniel Bryan. The now 4-time world champion was actually originally released by the company back in 2010. During the Nexus Invasion angle in June 2010, where they attacked a helpless John Cena at the end of Monday Night Raw, Daniel Bryan is seen choking ring announcer Justin Roberts with a tie. The shot was seen during the live broadcasting, but was actually edited from replays and was described as being too violent for what WWE allows on its programming. The claim stated that Bryan's choking of Justin Roberts was way too extreme for the children who may have been watching at the time. Daniel Bryan was, however, rehired a month later and first appeared on August 15th at the SummerSlam 2010 event, where he would actually in fact fight against the Nexus. Number 5 is Kurt Angle. The release of Kurt Angle in 2006 was deemed a mutual agreement, but it was pretty apparent that the WWE was actually cutting ties with Kurt Angle so he could address an addiction to painkillers. Kurt Angle was a Grand Slam champion by 2002, but it was evident Vince McMahon didn't want to take any blame for the destruction of the wrestler. Vince McMahon wrote on WWE.com following the release of Kurt Angle, "Kurt has some issues he has to face, as well as we all do from time to time. We all have our demons, and as human beings, it is important for us to overcome them and to become better human beings, athletes, and business people. Hopefully we'll be back soon, but his release in 2006 was a huge disappointment." Number 4 is Jeff Hardy. Now, Jeff Hardy was released in 2009 after he let his contract expire himself. Jeff Hardy refused to sign a contract extension, so was released. Hardy was one of the WWE's biggest stars at the time and had become the World Heavyweight Champion that very same year. Jeff Hardy wanted to take some time off and work a lighter schedule. He also had injuries which included a neck injury, 2 herniated discs in his lower back, and was suffering from restless leg syndrome. Jeff Hardy decided to work for TNA instead. It allowed him to work a lighter schedule, but still, fans miss him to this very day. Number 3 is Ultimate Warrior. On July 10, 1991, Warrior sent a letter to Vince McMahon requesting some added bonuses into his new WWF contract. Warrior wanted $550,000 for performing at WrestleMania 7. He also wanted a guaranteed number of working days, travel accommodation paid for, and a higher percentage of merchandise sales. He ended his letter by saying if Vince McMahon didn't agree to these demands, then he would sit at home and would not travel with the roster. Vince had no choice but to agree to these demands. However, after Warrior had performed at SummerSlam that year in 1991, a month after the original letter was sent, Warrior was handed a letter straight after the show from Vince saying that he was suspended. According to Vince, he only temporarily agreed to these demands so that Warrior would perform for him at the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Instead of agreeing to the suspension, Warrior sent a letter of resignation to the WWF in October 1991. Number 2 is CM Punk. Oh boy. During the Royal Rumble match in 2014, Kane chokeslammed CM Punk through the announcer's table and he was never seen on television again. He surprisingly failed to appear on Raw the night after and then SmackDown on the Friday. According to Punk himself, he was suspended by the WWE for 2 months after he skipped this Raw. Punk's excuse for going home instead of appearing on the show was that he was tired of creative ideas such as Batista returning from Hollywood, then main eventing WrestleMania 3 months later. He was also annoyed at the way they were treating him as an employee. He said he was hit by multiple injuries and they gave him no respect in terms of treatment or recovery. After the 2-month suspension, he was given the runaround by employees at WWE and nobody would actually give him a straight answer about his employment and when he was going to return back to television. It took a whole 11 months for the truth to finally come out when Punk said on the Colt Cabana podcast that WWE sent him a letter on his wedding day to say he was fired from the company on June 2014. Number 1 is Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is the most iconic wrestling figure ever, so it became a huge shock to everybody when he was randomly fired in 2015. The year prior to his release in 2014, Hogan had returned to the WWE and made a couple of appearances at WrestleMania before being fired on July the 24th, 2015. Now, WWE terminated their contract with Hogan after publications reported that Hulk Hogan made an anti-black rant on his leaked sex tape. Now, Hogan can be heard expressing disgust about the notion of his daughter with a black man. Hulk Hogan also repeatedly used the racial slur nigger. Now, WWE removed virtually all references to Hogan on their website, including merchandise from the shop and his entry from its WWE Hall of Fame page. Pretty incredible stuff. The most iconic wrestler ever, removed completely from WWE's history. Did I miss anybody? What did you guys think about today's video? I hope you guys in fact enjoyed it. Smash the likes. Also remember to follow me on Twitter and Facebook and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Take care. Spike your hair. Ready? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh my god, what the fuck? I have no idea what happened in midair there.